may end up getting the video version first before they even run into the audio because of the algorithm.
Pat.
What? Oh, sorry.
I hate you so much.
I definitely understand. I'm just saying that
Talking about podcast logistics and
yeah. Who doesn't love hearing about algorithms, eh?
Okay. Now we're talking.
Hey,
you know,
keeping up with the news, they're going to run our lives.
That's enough to pay a bunch of 19 or 20-year-olds to go in and just steal data.
No, you don't
from
pay
a
them.
government agency.
They're 19 and 20. Who's paying them? They're interns.
I mean,
and when they go to jail,
I'm sorry, you said that'd be algorithms.
Yeah, I mean that's where you're going to get that data to build your algorithms.
Are you optimized? Are you search engine optimized?
SEO up in your face.
Sounds like a bad commercial.
Algorithms.
This
bad sponsor read right now.
This podcast
from Salesforce
by the concept of algorithms.
We got our first sponsor, DeepSeek.
Oh no. It's already been security infiltrated. Great.
Yeah, because it's open source. What'd you expect?
You're open source.
Fair enough.
Gotcha.
You got me. You're working at OpenAI these days?
You're working at OpenAI. Double.
Got him again.
Burn.
That's Jason Bourne.
Lots of
We got Jason Bourne.
Jesus Christ. That's Jason Bourne.
Oh my God. Tell people what we're talking about, Pat.
Oh, we're going to talk about the state of video games.
Where's the music?
I'm going. God, I got to do the music again, or I did the music. Now you need it one more time because you love it so much. It's your favorite.
Here's the weird thing. I didn't hear the music. I heard it through someone else's speakers. That last time you played it, and Kurosh got down, but I didn't hear it. And I don't know if it's a thing on my side. Whereas normally when you do your AM radio break in, you don't hear it.
Can you hear it now? Can you hear the music? Can you hear the music? Because we're here talking about video games. I don't know what to tell you then. I'm doing the thing. We're talking about video games, all right? We're talking about the state of video games in 2025. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they sassy? Are they sexy? Let's find out together. Now you're getting no more rough. Now we talk.
I couldn't even fade it out, you son of a bitch.
I don't know how to do it.
What kind of DJ are you?
A bad one.
That will address
Fair enough.
some of the issues.
Like a bad middle school dance. What?
I said I apologize. I had to fix my microphone. Hopefully this is better audio for y'all.
Yes.
Maybe that's where your speaker was playing through was your microphone as well. Why you couldn't hear it.
Yeah. I'm not sure. It's fine. We're all here. How are you?
Like an insult.
We're good. We're going to welcome our guest to let him talk for a minute. Kurosh, tell us about yourself.
Hey everyone. Well, I'm back and better than ever.
And if you start talking about Hulk and Wolverine again, you're going to be gone just as quickly.
Oh no.
No, I'm going to be talking about that True Detective Green Lantern story maybe.
There we go.
No, but my name is Kurosh. I am a creator. I do a lot of stuff in the game space. I have my YouTube channel and my show, The KJP Show, where I talk about a lot of indie games and game developers, celebrating and elevating them. And depending on when this comes out, I'll either have already brought it out or I'm be soon. But I'm working on a new podcast myself called Save Point Stories that I'm happy to share here. And that's a podcast about the relationships we share with games and that personal experiences that we all have, and just how has a lasting impression on our lives. So, yeah, excited to talk all things games with you guys today.
So that would be a good place, like a good podcast to discuss Kareem's ineptitude on Madden for 3 years in a row. I feel like that's
what do you mean ineptitude?
That's the place.
It was good. It's just no one could beat the 99 Oakland Raiders or something. That was garbage.
Couldn't beat anybody. You threw yourself away.
That was dope.
Sorry, I had to take my shot.
Shots were fired. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, we were just discussing, I think it's last week off mic or 2 weeks ago, about the Xbox Direct showcase, which led us into a whole conversation about just a bunch of stuff. And we're like, you know what, we're rambling on, but how about we get a guy who's knows a little bit more than we do to kind of straighten out our arguments, help us out a little bit.
And we couldn't find him, so we brought you in.
Damn.
There we go.
Man,
There's no shame in being
calling
second place.
shots.
Just,
No
I
shame
hadn't
in
said anything in a
second
while,
place.
so I just figured it was my time to jump in with something offensive and upsetting to someone. So it was my time.
It's
Yeah.
okay. We're core brothers, so it's fine.
There you go. Exactly.
Is that like Eskimo Brothers? How does that work?
No, it's
No.
like comic book core. Our old lineage dates back eons, decades, centuries.
Censor before
Um,
before the recorded time. It's
before the recorded time.
So that's
Sounds like an Optimus and Megatron kind of thing. Is that what we got going on
yeah,
here?
yeah.
so that means
No,
that's before iPhones. Is that
I
what
was
you
gonna say
mean?
like smoke screen
Was
and blue
it?
streak, but like that's fine. I mean, I'm just a little, that's
Who?
Wait,
like
who the
I
hell
don't
are
see
those?
him as like the mortal enemy. It's more just like, we're different. We're the same model, just different colors, and just it's a little different. I mean, if you know those who know smoke screen and blue streak get my bit.
But if they don't explain it,
If they don't explain it, if they don't explain it. Is there a comma in there? If they don't explain it.
no, I said if they don't explain it.
Oh, if they don't, comma, explain it. Or period,
Yes.
explain it. No, I'm good.
I hate you so much.
I hate you, Kenny.
The best grammar podcast we've done in a while.
Yeah, it's like,
Video
no,
games.
money down. Or if you're like, no more politics. Like, no, more politics. It's just, you have to get the comma and the periods and exclamation points in the right position.
Fair enough. What we was talking about, not grammar, but gaming. Go back to the topics we're going to try and cover, or at least get through, depending on how many tangents we run into. Is the Xbox Direct 25 showcase, which was again 2 weeks ago. Just
Actually,
because it was.
Speaking of
Go ahead.
grammar and gaming, there's always Mavis Beacon, which we should always kind of go back to and discuss the history of gaming and grammar together. I'm sorry, no, just continue on Microsoft.
Is there any way to mute his mic or like just kick him out of the studio, Pat?
Yes, we can do that.
Good, he did it himself.
That doesn't
Look at
mute him. He just got his video away. People
He's
on
one of
the
those
podcast
hiding.
It
just
has
He's
the
like,
hiding.
same effect. It gives the effect of me stepping away and being blocked off.
the
Now he's
illusion.
back. Now
And
we
I'm
need the
back.
reality.
And
Now
I'm
we need the
back.
reality. Actually, getting rid of him, Pat.
All right.
No more illusion.
Gotcha.
No more David Blaine's in this bitch. Yeah, talking about the showcase, we'll kind of go through some of the highlights of the games because Doom. I don't know if you guys saw the trailers. If not, we'll bring some up as well for Doom: The Dark
Yeah.
Ages. Looks effing dope. We were talking about the Nintendo Switch because we finally got it, and I got it. Was it like 3 weeks after I got the old Switch? So I felt immediately obsolete. But hey, I'm enjoying the Switch. I was.
Oh,
very
you're
late
talking
to
about the OLED model?
I got the OLED model, but then
Okay.
3 weeks after that, the Switch
Yeah.
2 came out.
It was the best
So
because
I'm like,
he's
great.
like, guys, like I'm there, like I finally stepped into it. I got the Switch. I'm ready to game with you guys. Not, and we were like kind of like, well, one, the Switch isn't really ideal for co-op gaming, but that's a different discussion. And we're like, well, why didn't you wait for the Switch 2? And he's like, they keep talking about the Switch 2. That's never gonna come out. That's a pipe
Like the Larry
dream.
David music
Nintendo's
came up.
like,
Larry David music came. God, great. Then we talk about some of the most anticipated games of 2025. Kind of going over a few of those. I got a list. You let me know which ones you're looking forward to, and then we're gonna kind of get into probably the heavier, darker part of the conversation, which is the video game developing world in general. Just we've had about 3 years of major layoffs. They've been happening steadily over the last 7 to 8 years.
Yeah.
But it seems like the last 3 have just been on steroids. And so I don't know if you've talked to anybody in the industry, if you have any anecdotes, but I've at least pulled a couple stories of what's been happening, the numbers that we're seeing, because it isn't like, hey, we've laid off 50 people. It's like, no, we've laid off a couple of thousand and we shut down the studio. So
Yeah.
that shit's going up. So I don't know if you guys want to. We don't have to go in order. I just wanted to let people know that's what we're trying to talk about. What is the first thing you guys want to talk about? You want to jump into?
Let's get
I don't
into the
know.
Xbox showcase.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
not be depressed to start.
All right, cool. I didn't know if you wanted to like do the
Just
medicine thing.
Kill
Like,
all
you
the
medicine
momentum of the
first, and you
podcast
get,
up
like,
front, and you got to
then you
dig
get
that
your, like,
show out of the
sweets
ground.
afterwards.
Like,
Okay.
Yeah, I like my
I
dessert.
didn't know. I
first.
didn't want to end on a downer. Maybe. Okay. Whatever. So we got Doom: The Dark Ages, which is supposed to be launching May 15th. I don't know. Does everyone in this panel have an idea what it is, or should I go through kind of with the breakdown of what we saw from the
mean,
trailer?
I mean, it's Doom, but like with a medieval twist, from what I
Yeah.
understand. It's like they're because 2016 Doom was like them revamping in a lot of ways and kind of setting a clean slate. And then Eternal came out a few years after that, following that. But then
Mhm.
this one, and they go into great length at this showcase, talking about how it's that same world, but they're going back. This is
Ah,
predating,
dope. Yeah.
and this was the first time I realized it was going to go in timeline wise behind it. Granted, I don't know how much in terms of the plot there is, but
Mhm.
they did mention that in terms of like, oh yeah, it's going to go back, and that's where the Dark Age, the medieval kind of vibe of it comes in. So yeah, Doom,
Yeah,
Dark Age.
I didn't get into Doom as much when it was a computer and stuff like that, and just as the hack it was. But this one looks like I'm really thinking about giving this one a chance. Maybe it's more my pace, based on what I've seen. Plus, you got dragons in it, so I'm like, anytime you put a dragon in the game, I'm gonna be there.
And mech suits. There's the
Yes,
whole
that's
like
right.
that element of it, letting me live out that power fantasy in all of its different power fantasies.
So,
I think. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Pat.
well, I was just going to ask, the description that you created sounds like they took Doom, the Doom shell, and said, let's say, what's this, Titanfall? Jam some of that in there. This is some
Mhm.
Skyrim. Let's jam that in
Yes.
there. There. Here's your game.
Yeah,
A
the
little
trailer.
bit. I would say like Eternal was them going a little bit more Titanfall in terms of how it plays, because Eternal was the one that was way more platformy and
Mhm.
kinetic in that way. This one, and they did a big thing in the showcase, kind of talking to how, because of the subject matter being more medieval and Dark Age, and kind of they want to have it feel more powerful, they weigh things and slow things down a bit. So from a
Reminds me
play
more of like Dragon
style,
Age.
yeah, maybe even in that vein too, yeah, in the tonality and stuff, but in very much in that explanation of like the power fantasy, I think they're just reorienting it a little bit. And what you mentioned in Titanfall, I know that there's the mech side of it, and that's probably more of what you were alluding to, but yeah, no, I just love the whole thing.
He just
Sorry,
wants to
Ken, I
give
didn't mean to
Titanfall
cut
its
you.
flowers.
No, you're good. It's just to me like I just watched the trailer as you guys were talking, and it's just like it's I mean it's Doom, but like it's to a certain degree a medieval setting, but also in a like I don't think steampunk is the right term because it looks like there's like the shotgun that has it's much more mechanical in nature, but there's
Yeah.
also like a shield that spins with like a buzzsaw blade kind of thing. It's like so I'd be curious to see like what the term would be, like hellcore. I don't know. You'd call this as opposed
Probably
to like
that's a
or hell punk. Um, it has a very like deep metal, visceral feel to it, but it is just kind of still doomed to that degree where I'm like, okay, that's fine. And it's still to me like it's one of the iconic first FPSs that was just like, oh, this you're just walking through this place, you're gonna go blow stuff up, go pull this lever, level ends, and that's which is fine. That's exactly what you kind of look for with Doom, and that's all you expect is just a polished up Wolfenstein, and then you just kind of keep going. But now Wolfenstein has become its own thing too, so it's like I'm still that old where I'm like, oh yeah, that's from id Software. It's like that's I have an outdated mindset, so I still pull from that same kind of like it's still from that same bucket, but they've both gone on their own diverging paths at this point. It looks fine. It looks interesting. I haven't been into Doom since maybe Doom 2 on like the
oh
Sega 3D not it wasn't 3DO Sega it wasn't Sega CD, but it was right at the same time. Oh god, what was like the 16-bit
The Sega, the
Sega one?
Genesis?
It was the Genesis, but you also had a clip on top of it.
Yeah, the
yeah, yeah.
32-bit attachment.
Yeah,
I would
was trying to remember what
highly
that was called.
recommend, if you guys want to test the waters with what this Doom and maybe the prior two, they're very similar in their tonality of how it feels and looks and the way it amps you up. The Doom 2016 game is pretty cheap nowadays and an amazing experience. One of my friends just played it on his Steam Deck, and he's like, "This, why didn't I play this sooner?" And so it doesn't feel dated in a lot of ways. It's very much kind of like that old school feel of, like Ken, what you were saying. You enter a level, the doors lock, but in this game they kind of lean hard into that and just crank the rock music up when those happen.
Oh,
You just feel amped. You do like little fatality moments, kind of like Kratos, and you're having a blast. It's a power fantasy. Like that's what they really lean into.
does it connect with the 2005 Doom with Carl Urban and The Rock? You mentioned rock music, so I wasn't sure if that
No.
was the no. I don't know.
No,
I don't think I'm on board.
no.
That's not. Yeah. I want Carl Urban.
Yeah.
I
Ken,
want Dwayne
The
Johnson.
Rock let you go as a manager. Just let it go.
That's you know what?
I
No,
can't get him
this
any
is-
more projects.
We're
He
having a
said-
Space Jam moment. Let's do this. We're talking about Dwayne Johnson, Rocky Malvia. Let's get this going.
The final boss,
There you
as
go.
as the wrestlers call him.
He's the people's
no.
champ. He made his own belt to prove it.
Yeah.
After Black Adam, he had to question your guys' relationship. I see why now. I see why.
Hey, he's the one that wanted to redefine the power hierarchy in the DC universe. I tried to talk him out of it. I tried to be like, hey,
He
this
said
is
he
the
said
right-
that was your line. He said it was you said it was gonna kill.
No,
He
that's
also
weird.
presented.
He says lots of things. He said, I'm not going back to the Fast and Furious franchise. And then, oh, what happens? What's up, buddy? Let's go ahead and fight some bad dudes.
Are those projects drying up? Probably.
Yeah,
and I
hey,
remember in 2001, he was there when Xbox was first revealed. With
He
Bill
was.
Gates. So this all loops
See?
back together. Xbox
full
Showcase.
circle. That's how we do things here. Welcome back to Tangential Giants.
You guys remember when he killed Osama bin Laden?
No. When did he do that?
No, he's the one that broke the news.
No, that was John Cena.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, was it Cena? No, I thought it was. The
Yes,
Rock.
no, it was Cena. He came out, he stood on the
No.
table,
I messed up.
and he broke the news. John Cena.
No, no.
When
No, but The Rock, before the president announced it, The Rock tweeted he tweeted essentially like a teaser about like, oh, I just heard this, land of the free, home of the brave, but it wasn't like a direct thing, but like he heard about it because someone else, and he tweeted about it
Because of his
before-
friend Mark Wahlberg, who was
What?
killing
No.
terrorists on
What?
airplanes constantly.
No.
For like
No.
What? No.
For the next 10 years, that's all he did.
What?
So
No.
this is
Everyone
why
had to
The
kill
Rock and
terrorists.
John Cena feuded in WrestleMania because they were
Once-
fighting
one-
over who got to reveal.
once
the
in a
secret.
lifetime. Not
Yeah,
really.
it's The
Yeah,
Rock
except
versus
the second time.
Peacemaker, or sorry,
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
Black
Yeah,
Adam versus
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. I'd watch that.
There you go.
But one of the things I wanted to say too about the showcase, I know there's other games with it too, but the way they did this showcase was a little different than some of these other directs and formulas. And I thought with what they were doing in the few games they were talking about, it was perfect. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the full showcase or just looked at the announcements, but like they kind of did a deep dive, but it was in a way where it's like feeling like, oh, here, like it's a behind the scenes DVD feature almost, as they're describing elements of the game, the rationale behind it, and everything. I was like, you're giving me a reason to care and to feel like, oh, design choices were made intentionally and not because of numbers or metrics or something. And then on top of that, following through and just saying, oh, by the way, in 2-3 months, it's coming out.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is like that pacing, that cadence, that everything was like so good.
How did they keep it? I mean, I think people knew it was in development, but how did they keep it under wraps that it was coming out so soon? Because this is the first time they announced the release date, right?
Yeah, I think this was the date it was announced, but they last year, I believe, teased at one of their summer showcases or something. It was coming out in the near future, and usually the cadence, unless it's something crazy, like for instance, The Witcher 4, like when that got announced at the Game Awards, there's no date announced, and people would just automatically just assume, okay, that's years out. With Doom, with most games, the typical cadence is, oh, we're going to announce it within 6 months to a year of whenever it's going to launch. So we knew kind of it was going to be sometime in this year, just them giving the hard date, and then it also being in, what is it, April, I think is the release date, sometime around
May
then. Like,
15th.
yeah. And that being so soon, I was like, okay, they're confident. They've done testing. They're at the point of like, we're in the tail end of this. And I thought that confidence was really like good, and they have a good track record. So I was very impressed.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to that. The next one I was looking forward to is the South of Midnight. I mean, this is the DEI game, so just letting everybody know this game may not make it to YouTube.
I'm out.
Yeah, I figured you were, Pat.
This one's really crazy. I love the ambitious like creative designs that they're taking.
Yeah, the
I'm a little
whole
bit-
idea of like stop motion kind of thing was kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm a little perturbed by the character's name. It's very Star Warsy. Her name is Claire Obscure. I'm like,
No, that's a different game.
That's
Claire
the next
Obscure
one.
Expedition 33. That's a game we need to talk about as well. But
Okay.
South of Midnight is
Gotcha. The way
is-
the list was stacked, it
Yeah,
made
no,
it look
the-
like that
yeah.
was. I apologize. That's on me.
Oh, no worries.
Okay, then never mind. That we'll I'll pan that name later
we'll
on.
get into that name. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we all have ideas on that. But Hazel is the name of the main character in this one.
So Star Warsy. Hazel, like the eye color. More. Come on.
But she's got a cool power. I guess they say she's a weaver of some sort, like that. But the animation looks great. I like the concept because it's a third person, kind of open worldish kind of thing going on with hints of voodoo and magic, which I think are pretty cool. And then they have this cool narrator character. It seems like, this guy's going to be helping her throughout the story. And the fact that it's like Southern Gothic was also kind of cool, just because a lot of those stories tend to have like, I don't know, interesting lead-ins. If you're watching any kind of movie about the area and its religious undertones and things like that. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. It when I first saw it, was it last year when they first teased it? I was like, oh, this is like the Princess and the Frog, except without the frog. That was my first thought. But then as it goes on, I was like, this is obviously more in depth. But again, just for basically the gameplay itself, again, if any of you take a chance to check out the trailer later, it looks really cool.
Yeah. I think the
different.
biggest thing that I'm very optimistic with this game, but I'm proceeding with a little bit of caution just because a game can look great,
Right,
but
yeah.
feeling great in the controls is kind of like there's some games that just miss the mark on how
Very much so.
how it feels and that connection between like you're doing an action and seeing what that plays out like, and then the gameplay loop itself, because most of what it showed was highlighting the different wild large characters that you interact with, almost
Yeah.
like okay, go from point A to point B, and now there's a boss of sorts, now there's another boss of sorts, and I'm more wondering what happens in the in between, like what are we engaging with, what are we doing,
I'm
what
guessing,
are we not doing, kind of
yeah,
thing. And
I've seen some trailers, some other clips of it. It looks like there's gonna be a lot of storytelling, so you're probably gonna be watching a lot, which isn't always my favorite thing. But because of the way they're doing the cut stop animation, I may give it a little bit of a pass for that. But for in between in between the cutscenes themselves, which is the fight action, looks like you're linking a lot of stuff too. There's like grabbing and tossing of things and connecting certain like strings of movement together. And I don't know if that's just aspects of the weave, so to speak, but that looks to your point. I wonder if that's gonna be fluid enough, or if it's going to be timed. Like, all right, you press a button and
Yeah.
it does a whole animation, and you sit there and wait for it. Then you press another button and it links that animation. Versus like I have to move the controllers in certain ways to do certain different movements that connect or whatever.
Yeah, you need the moment to really blend together the larger, bigger set pieces, and it seems like they have all the elements of it. It's just them being, from my experience, it's a new IP. It's a team that has a little bit of a track record, but I don't know too much of what they've prior worked on. Compulsion Games is the studio.
Yeah.
And they did We Happy Few before
Yes.
this, which have you guys played that game before?
I played it once because I think it was on free on Xbox when it first landed, and it was weird and kind of creepy. Wasn't my style, but maybe I need to go back and revisit it.
It's funny you say weird and creepy. Sorry, go ahead again.
I would say it might be the same thing here. It might be the just the trailer that I'm seeing and the visuals. Aside from the stop motion kind of certain aspects of things, like to Kareem's point about the stories, I'm getting a little bit of like Alan Wake vibes from some of the storytelling interactions I'm feeling. But again, this is just like, it's not a one-to-one comparison. I'm just trying to like see little notes that I see comparable. But I'm intrigued. But as we've talked before, like most games nowadays, unless it comes to Game Pass where I can play it for free, like it's just like I only buy a very select few amount of games, and then there's the ones like, oh yeah, that's for free, me and my friends can play, okay, that's cool, like I'll jump on that. But it's I mean it's not something I would necessarily buy and have pre-ordered, which we can discuss about pre-ordering in another conversation.
He's a racist.
Yeah, it's too much DEI. It's just too woke. As some people have said, I was worried that it'd be annoying and woke, and those people should be questioned. But
Something
anyways,
something to
Jeez.
note here about every one of the games in the showcase, they're all day and date Game Pass games. So
Yes.
okay.
that was another element of this. Like there was a confidence in what they were showing. There was release dates that are very soon. This game's coming out in early April, I believe.
April 8th, yeah.
April 8th. And they're all also on Game Pass. So for the and this is from someone who's not an Xbox player. I thought this combination of games that was shared was probably one of the strongest, hopefully, directions of like, here's big reasons why you need to be on Game Pass for new IP that we've been acquiring and doing so much, like bringing it in. Now you can seize the fruition of some of that.
Yeah. I had one other point just for the gameplay. She does have a grappling mechanism that's very similar to like the Spider-Man games, which I thought might interest you, Ken, if you don't have to pay for it. She does do this kind of like launching of whatever this wand thing is that'll connect to stuff that allows her to swing and kind of do some motions like that. She can float or glide, so to speak, if she gets enough air. Again, this is the South, so you're not going from building to building, going from like tree moss to tree moss, but
Yeah.
it does have that aspect to it as well. Now we can get into
Pat, actually,
Claire Obscure.
I interrupted Pat, so I don't know if he had another point we want to touch on.
Oh, I was just going to say, I would expect this, given the theme, to be a lot more horror based than even the trailer would entail. And I would imagine that if this is a hit, we'll be visiting Appalachia shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining like what you could do with this and how you could.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
But I would expect it. I would have expected to be a little more horror based, frankly.
For those that are looking to go to Appalachia, which depend on who you ask, that's how they say it, supposedly.
He's out of line, but he's right.
But you could also go there in Fallout, the one that's on Xbox that we played, and you just
Fallout 76.
There you go, 76. Sure, why not?
Okay.
That's also based in Appalachia. But anyways,
I think another Fallout game is supposed to be coming out this year.
I mean, just
No, like 20 years from now. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're definitely considering discussing making the beginnings of a plan to have the concept of a Fallout game.
Or we can just go back and fix one of our old shit ones.
Perfect. No notes.
Mods.
I mean,
There we go. Mods.
They've already got. I
Solution
mean,
everything.
they're kind of just pulling a GTA 5 there. We're just like, no, we can just correct everything else in this one and keep them coming back. And it worked for GTA 5. Like,
I know that ran what 10 years.
Yeah,
It's still running.
3 platforms.
Yeah, it's still going.
Well,
That's,
yes,
or,
it
sorry,
is still running.
three iterations of platforms.
Yes.
So, I mean, if it ain't broke, we gotta fix it because we need more.
Fix
money.
it again.
It ain't broke. Microtransaction, that bitch.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works.
Season passes, baby.
There you
Yep.
go. Unlimited
It's
downloads.
only $30 a quarter. Don't even worry about it. It's cheap.
Yeah. What is
You're
that?
ripping us off.
Is that one Coke a year? You're good.
You're fine.
All right. On to Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Launch
Yeah.
April 24th. Ken, get out your rant.
Okay.
Your attention, please. In episode. Hey, your attention, please.
There's a rant here.
Oh no,
You
just
didn't like
Claire
her
Obscura.
name.
The name Claire Obscura. It's like Savaggio Press. I'm like, we couldn't come on. Like what's gonna be obscured? Just it's too. I don't know. It's too simple to me. It's too on the nose. I want. Come give you a little bit something better here.
Well,
yeah.
what do you think, based on the title? What do you think it's on the nose about?
They're
without knowing
obscuring
anything
something.
else.
She's something. She finds things that are obscured.
I'm a dumbass.
Okay.
So I mean, I have no
Okay.
idea.
Well, the game is it's a turn-based RPG game that's based around, there's a giant monument, and every year this monument has this giant like entity come and paint a new number counting down. And whatever number, so now at the time setting of this game, the number is hit 33. Anyone who's 33 years old just like Thanos snaps and disappears. And so every year it just goes lower and lower. and the characters you follow become or play as become a group that wants to go and stop this. They're like, this needs to end.
Did the same thing happen at 34? Did all the 34-year-olds disappear?
It's
Or is that
happened. I forget wherever it started. When they did the showcase, they did like a larger storyline overview, but it one day just appeared in this world, and it's been coming down. And people have tried to go out and try to this monument, but they failed. There's many things that come up, and it's almost like a journey and
Right.
challenge that comes up with it.
But that to still go back to that, my question is, and when it was at 34, because it was at 34 before this and 35 before that, did all the 34-year-olds disappear, or is it
Yes.
that every year a new? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because otherwise I was like, no, at 34 everyone got ice cream cones, and then at 35 we got bunnies. Like, what was each thing? If it's just that, if every year people like like
Pizza party.
32-year-olds also, here's what happens if you're 32 and then tomorrow they do the Expedition 33, but your birthday's 2 days later. Do you disappear retroactively? And as like, what if you go
Yeah,
through?
we've all seen Back to the Future. You just disappear.
Yeah,
Fade out.
that's where I'm just like, it's there's questions here that I'm like, wait, and so also since time is linear, like people who are 30,
Is it though, Ken? Is it?
yes, because the people who are 32 now, like they're just scared shitless because no matter what, they're done for. So like, is what also
Unless they stop it.
unless they stop it, but they've been
got to have hope.
But we already know that it's gone on for
A
at
new
least
hope.
3 years. So what's the what? Also, are they
Get better
just, like,
fighters.
they just better. No, they disappear as if it by magic. So what does it matter? Like I can't punch air. Like I mean I can punch air, but I'm not stopping
can.
them. Pat, you're muted, so we can't hear
Pat,
you.
your
We
mic
love
is
you.
muted.
We love you though so much.
Dang it, Ken! Once you re-rant, once everyone knows that once you hit 34, you've given up on life and you can disappear and nobody cares. And when you hit 33, that's like the last year where you care enough to where you'll fight back.
There you
I
go.
would say
Everybody
that's
knows that.
generational. I think
It's art
boomers are
imitating life.
there are still boomers who are 80 plus, and they're just like, no, I matter. I'm affecting the world in positive ways. Positive ways?
They're not in
the
this
world.
world though.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
this world.
They are in fact the monsters.
Okay. Oh,
I do like
That's
the
why,
idea.
that's why they keep coming back.
yeah.
I do like the idea.
Remember
it started
me?
at, like,
I'm not going away.
it started at, like age 107, and like one guy disappeared and went, "That's weird." All right, well,
Well, and again, if they are just disappearing as if by magic, just like you turn around, they're gone. Then also like you're like, wait, do we know that he's actually gone, or did he just like go down the hill and he's not coming back up? We don't
I
know.
forget
You're
how
the
it's
search
how it's depicted visually, but at least when I'm reading the description, it says the paintress, and she's the one that is this large godlike entity, kills everyone at a given age when she draws that number in the sky every year.
Gotcha. So what you're telling me is that the true answer has been obscured at least 34 times.
And we're here to clear it up.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Move this man!
so I wasn't on board with Ken's anger towards
Now
the meme
you are.
until you made that joke. Now, okay, wait a minute, guys. This is come on.
You know what's funny is I have not referred to this game by that. I just call it Expedition 33.
Me too.
And I think it's one of those games where I'm like, you guys should have maybe like
Got
quality
rid of the
like
first part.
tested the title a little bit. But what's an RPG
Hey, Kurosh,
without a
Kurosh,
weird?
Sadly, they did, and it rocked. Everyone loved it. Those boomers are like, this is where we need to go with this thing.
Maybe, maybe.
There were 7 other names in front of it before they settled on this one. This was
Yeah.
a 70-word name.
Yeah.
Game name. It was title.
But
I mean, have you guys seen the gameplay for this? This
Oh my
looks really cool.
Yeah.
please watch the gameplay because this
It
is
looks-
my favorite of these that they showcase. Like I'm so excited for this game.
It's pretty dope.
Turn-based RPGs, I think, are a hard thing to in this day and age kind of showcase and present and be like, hey, play this game when you have so many things that are way more keep you going moment to moment and engaging and stuff. The tried and true old-fashioned turn-based RPGs, like, okay, how do we modernize this in some way? And many games try to do that by how they dress it up visually, and which this hits on, I think, in a big way. Many of the moments feel like they're cutscenes, but they're just like UI, moments that you're going between menus. But then they kind of do the element of for me, it dates back to Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. And that game, it was a turn-based RPG, but there was interactive moments in the combat where if you time it right, a button input would do additional damage or help you block damage and reduce that damage. And so there was still a little bit of like interactive play that was introduced. This game, from what the showcase showed, it has elements of that as well. So, to me, I think those are like
events into the middle of.
It's optional. I think it's like if you really want to min max and like put it on the hardest difficulty or like really like squash an enemy or something, you can really combo up and do those combos or do those inputs. But it doesn't seem like it's necessary from all things. We'll see. But on top of that, it's got a crazy cast. Like they got Charlie Cox as voicing the main character. They have Ben Starr, who also was in the Final Fantasy 16 as the main character. Andy Serkis is one of the other non-human protagonists, I think.
I don't think Andy Serkis can play a human in anything.
No.
The Prestige. He can play one of the Prestige.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only time I'm like, hey, it's you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm super stoked about this game. I've never seen anything from the studio, so that's the only thing kind of really keeping me a little hesitant. But they've made a strong showing, and then this showcase, like they did a funny thing too. If you go back and watch the direct, their showcase, every time they like pitched it to the next guy, like, okay, Kareem, you take it away, and they did this huge pan in of like level designer Kareem, and it's just like this crazy all-star lineup. I'm like, that's how you need to amp your team up, is like make them feel like these all-star
We can do that
players.
here. Kareem, make your camera do the thing.
No, I did it earlier and I couldn't fix it, so I'm going to leave it as is.
It'll happen
like
periodically.
Forehead.
It's just like,
Yeah,
what's
it'll
up
do it
now? Dang it, I was just watching the trailer, and there's Oh, and by the way, Andy Serkis was also Ulysses Claw in Age of Ultron and Black Panther, so he played a human there too, guys. Like, how you?
Yeah, he was also killed off.
To think I saw you, some crazy American.
He was killed off, but he was awesome as Ulysses Claw. I enjoyed that. His performance was enjoyable.
That's a good point.
He tried to drop the
I didn't say he wasn't. I didn't say he wasn't good as a human. It seems like 90% of his roles are some type of monster or animal.
I mean, you can say the same thing about Alan Tudyk. Like, he plays a chicken in Moana. He plays a robot in Rogue One. He does a lot of voices.
He does a lot of voice acting. There's a difference between voice acting and like acting as an animal or a monster.
He's
voice acting here.
K2SO. Yeah. He
What's
also does the mocap for K2SO. I don't think he did the mocap for King Candy, but it's just and Turbo.
I don't think he did it for Hey either.
You don't know. He may have been like in the middle of the and they mocap the whole chicken.
Perhaps. The thing that got me for this Expedition game was in part of the trailer, they showed a daisy chain of combos amongst the three players all at once, where I was like, to Kurosh's point, this is updating that, more static, turn-based. That used to be like, all right, I did my move. I'm going back to my position. You do your move and you go back to your position. This is like interacting with the environment around it so that the players that would have been just standing there have to actually do other stuff as well. And then if you can, I guess if you do the combos well enough, they're all doing stuff in a more cinematic aspect. It kind of just gives the game more feel versus, again, I did my move, I go back, you do your move, you go back, kind of thing.
Yeah, Pat, Ken, I have a question for you two of like, is turn-based RPGs like your jam, like in gaming?
I think Pat was a Final Fantasy guy, right?
Yeah, I was like early Final Fantasy guy. So probably dropped off after 7. And then it was...
That's when it started getting good. Fucking train.
And then I'm a little more strategic RPG stuff. Like,
okay.
I really love Valkyria Chronicles, and then some XCOM stuff, because it's like I like the ability of you actually moving around the field and altering how that alters combat, as opposed to like kind of the menu battles that I experienced on the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. Like it was kind of like, okay, attack, level 5, sword. that didn't really engage me. Whereas like if I'm maneuvering around the field and to some degree and altering the frame of battle, I feel like I'm doing more like Gears Tactics. Like that's
Yeah.
right in my space. So that's kind
How
of
did, how did
where
you
I am.
like Midnight Suns then?
That was fine. The card
It got
battle
repetitive
system.
for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say the card battle
What?
system made it get repetitive, and also like there were certain aspects of like I'm trying to think of just like the character design. They felt very kind of just like blank and just general. Like, oh, that's a close approximation of Doctor Strange. Same thing for as I really enjoyed some of the storytelling and the story in Marvel's Avengers from the one that did tanked and did it really horrible. There were some
Yeah,
like I
Marvel's
love.
Avengers, the live service game.
Yeah, and like the play up when you start playing as Kamala and her running through the city and then running from aim, that was a lot of fun and great. But
That was
then
fun,
like
yeah.
some of the character designs where it's like, oh, this is Captain America. I'm like, that's not Captain
Is it?
America. Like
Hey,
that's
he's white enough, Ken. That's all you need.
that's not Tony Stark. That's Tony Stank. Like, why is he here?
Hey,
Like
he's got a blue
Midnight
t-shirt
Suns
on,
doesn't
blonde
get
hair. What
enough
else do you
love.
want?
Yeah,
I love. Not enough people played Midnight Suns. I feel like
Yeah.
that game had interesting systems. I
was all
loved
ready
to
for
see
it,
them.
and then I got into like the first couple battles. I was like, oh, this
Yeah,
is
and the-
going to be a trudge.
and the card system of like, oh well, I can't do that move that I want to do because I didn't pull it. Well, no, if I'm playing this character, I want to do my moves. I want to know I could learn and adjust.
Did you change your deck at all?
I don't think
or
I played
play
long
customers?
enough to get to that aspect of.
I didn't mind that if it moved as quickly as other card based games. Like if it moved like I do a move, they do a move, I do a move kind of thing as fast as say like if you played Snap or something, then I wouldn't mind like, all right, I didn't pull that yet, or I didn't pull it in that deck, but I can get around to it throughout the battle at some other point. But it was moving so slow that I'm like, not only did I not pull, but it took me forever to do what I do have in my hand to get what I need done. And it's kind of repetitive. So I'm like, other than the character design and the fact that it was like a Marvel based game, I was like, if this were anything else, I'd have been like, yeah, I'm good.
I see.
Yeah, and
Much
it's
sooner
like,
than I said that.
yeah, and with that too, with to the repetitive nature, I'm like, oh, I'm fighting another Hydra agent or AIM agent or whatever, and their designs were just kind of pretty mediocre, like generalized and mediocre at least. And I would like a better character design because especially because unless you're going to fill it up with more villains instead of just like, oh well, here's Venom, but then there's 4 Shield or Hydra agents. Like, I want to fight like other things and symbiotes, and like I want a little more variety in the designs, and that added to the repetitive nature, and then also the card draw deck building aspect. I never kind of felt like I got a good hold on that, so I'm just kind of like, and there were plenty of other games too, so it just drifted off into ether.
That's a good point. And here's the thing too about these games that we're talking about today with the Xbox ones. I'm hoping, and this being part of the Game Pass pitch, is that so many games, and this is something I thought very much about South of Midnight. I don't want them to add fluff to the game. It can be a 10 to 20 hour experience and be a tight 10 to 20 hours as opposed to, hey, we need to make you feel like you got your money's worth. Because I think having it be part of that Game Pass equation alleviates that feeling of, oh, I got to get my total money's worth, as opposed to this is part of a catalog now. You can enjoy this and then go. And now that we've got you in Game Pass, you can enjoy our other things as well. So I'm kind of hoping that these are not consuming, like you were saying, kind of like, I'm going to go play other things. I want a tight experience here just so I can then go on to the next one that they've showcased. The next one, like all of these are kind of releasing around the same time. It's like starting between early April into maybe a little bit of May, I think. With the exception of the next one that we'll talk about. But yeah, just something about length of game comes into a factor with how I think Xbox is able to utilize some of that and leverage that. Is how much do I need to face this game? How much do I need to make this the game I play for the rest of the year? No, you don't. Please don't. For me, at least.
And see, that's maybe another aspect too. Is like right now, I'm deep into Unicorn Overlord, which is a 9 months back old game that got released, and so I've really just kind of been digging into that because it's a single player experience, and I enjoy that. Like a lot of games that get pushed higher onto my list are often pushed there by co-op. That can make me go into a game where I'm like, oh, yeah, this is not something I'm gonna I'm going to run like on my own. But if I can get friends in there, it's going to make the experience 8 times better. Like on that note, I really wanted to play the new Indiana Jones video game, but my Game Pass expired, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm just gonna leave it there until I get back to it. And like, I don't really think I'll be playing it until either I get Game Pass again, or or unless I find a good sale price. So, which because it's a single player game, so it's like it can go in the back burner kind of thing.
I see.
Speaking of single player games, I believe the next one should be right. Is single player is Ninja Gaiden 4 that they have their official trailer for?
It better
be. Den.
I mean, everything's multiplayer to some degree these days.
Yeah,
just I'll be playing the same player, which is kind of boring. But I mean, I've always gotten Ninja Gaiden just for the single player aspect of it anyway. This one looks just as good as the other ones before. It gives me, I don't know, just by the character design, it reminds me a lot of Metal Gear for some reason. That's the feeling I got for it.
With like Raiden?
Yeah. So it
I
reminds me
definitely
of
see
that.
that.
But they amped up the blood on this one. It reminds you of a Tarantino kind of flick with this one.
Makes you dream of like, man, imagine like a Tarantino piece of work in a video game. That could be wild.
It's pretty crazy, but it looks fun.
The thing that go ahead, Ken.
I was gonna say it took me back to the original Xbox when that was out. They released a version of Gaiden for that, and I'm like, I was a system that it was a game that made my friend buy the system. He's like, oh no, I want to play that. Like this is something that made him jump platforms to get that new game. And it's interesting to see it this many years later. And I'm like, I haven't played any of them since. That's something I watched my friend play. But the bloodier. I'm seeing that the visuals now. I'm like, it's definitely like they amped it up. I'm curious. I don't know. I do remember it being very punishing though, to a certain degree, kind of Dark Soulsy before Dark Souls at that time. And so I'm kind of like, ooh, I don't know how much I want to just get my ass kicked for fun.
That's a good point. I think some of the things here too is, from what I understand, is that they brought in it's whatever main studio is doing it, but and I have to look that up, but they are partnering with Platinum Games, who have done, I believe, like Bayonetta and one specific game that I love from PS3, or Vanquish. I don't know if you guys heard of that game or know that game, but it was very high octane, fast paced, kind of like just zooming in around it, and like I saw that inspiration in this game with the Ninja Gaiden kind of like coding. And I to your point, I'm very much like, is this going to be a grueling thing, or is this much more on that flashier Devil May Cry, Bayonetta kind of vibe?
That's what I mean, that's what I'm getting from that. The latter is that it seems like it's a lot more that, and it reminds me also of God of War.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
The elements too of it being two stories. It's showing a present day and or not present day, like a future day of cyberpunky, world, and then also in the past. The future cyberpunky world made me like the way the environment looked and everything. I was like, can this team do like a Batman Beyond game, please? Like,
that would be dope.
Stuff. Like,
yeah,
I would like that a lot.
That would be pretty sick.
That'd be great.
It's funny.
It looks like a game. Oh, sorry, go.
Oh no, go for it.
It looks like a game that it will take me 2 weeks to figure out how to play, where I'm going to spam the jump button like nobody's business. That's all I'm going to jump. Keep jumping. Just keep jumping. Attack. No, just jump more. Jump more. Like first 2 weeks I'm playing. I'm not that good. I know what it's going to look like.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
that's fair.
You tagged Platinum Games in the comment, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, I know they've done some stuff that I've played, but it's also they're the developer, not the publisher. So it's like, okay, wait. So the Transformers Devastation, which I think is still one of like the best Transformers games out there. I mean, it's delisted of most things, but like people who love G1 Transformers, that's probably the best game you're ever gonna get. If for that era, I'm not saying that War for Cybertron was bad, but as far as like G1 Transformers, the cell shading, all that design was really up there. They also did a Legend of Korra game, which I enjoyed. But yeah, those are the first two that kind of like pings off my brain.
the Platinum Games is in collaboration with. So this is
With
Team
Team Ninja.
Ninja. Team Ninja's
Right.
the main studio.
Yeah, they've
which
they've
is
been Team Ninja's been the one developer since the beginning. Like that goes back to the original.
and they've done like Neo, Ninja Gaiden, like you said, Dead or Alive,
5, yeah.
and Rise of Ronin, which I believe came out last year. Friend Earl Balin was one of the voices in that. But yeah, Platinum coming in is a crazy combo. And
but did they do?
Yeah, I love those games.
Did they do Dead or Alive beach volleyball? That's the question I need answered, because that's
We'll
that.
have to talk to him.
Okay,
Who
fair
did
enough.
do that?
I have no idea. I just remember like there's things that I remember because the same friend who bought the Xbox for Ninja Gaiden bought that game as well. And but like the things that at the time that they were doing, like, oh, you can just rip an entire CD to your Xbox and then play it during the game. And I'm like, oh, that's really kind of interesting. You could do that with the Xbox too later on, I saw, but like just that aspect, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I like that. And then
it
while
was
you
Team
play
Ninja that did the Extreme Beach Volleyball.
Oh, it was
There you
okay.
Yeah. So we're in good hands.
Yeah.
So Ninja
Bouncy
we're gonna run into some boobs somewhere in this game.
Oh yeah, that's a good goes without saying.
All right. Well, just final thoughts on the showcase, because I know there were a couple more. They had the announcement about Ninja Gaiden 2 coming back to the platform. It's just
which is out already.
Yeah, which is I think it was launched the same day that they had the announcement. And some other minor games, but these are the main ones I thought we should talk about. But if you guys have any ideas on just the idea of I don't know if we haven't covered it on this pod, but the idea of the game showcase going away and being replaced with these more controlled versions for the studios themselves. I think Nintendo started it back in right before the pandemic. They were like, "Hey, I'm pulling out of E3. We're gonna be there in LA, just not in the main studio." They're like, "Oh, we're gonna be across the street," and people are like, "Why?" Like, because we can fucking do that. We're Nintendo. And then Sony, I think, did it the year after. They've like,
been doing it. Yeah.
And then Microsoft was like, "Well, we'll do the same." So I just wanted your guys' thoughts on like, I've been to E3, had a great time, been to some of the other comics, and I know developers rely on it, studios rely on it too because they can sell swag and merchandise and how you network and stuff like that. But if these kind of things where they have them every quarter, I think it's every 3 months or so, they'll have another showcase of something else in the gaming world. Do you prefer these now that we're not going to these things anymore, or would you guys like to have E3 come back?
As someone who never attended an E3, I had a ticket one year but didn't make it because of life. It's the internet age, so I'm just kind of like, I'll watch a trailer when someone shares it in a Discord or in a chat. Hearing the level of opulence that they've gone through in the past of like, even if not part of this, but also where they'd have gaming events where like, oh, they're gonna fly you to Montreal to see this game that's themed about, it's in Canada, so we're gonna have you there. It'll be a whole experience just for the press to enjoy. And then you fly back and like you're supposed to report on that now. It's like that you gave them a vacation, and the idea of like these bigger events seem more just for the spectacle of it all, at least from my viewer standpoint. But I'm not really wowed by them anymore. But also, I don't know if I was ever super wowed by them. I don't know. Weird, not a best answer. Pat?
I'm gonna take the opposite approach, and I.
Oh my God! My God! What? Motherfucker! My God! Why? What? God! Oh my God!
I would like to see them come back because I like it when they do these kind of industry-wide events where everybody gets together. And I think, like you said, it's good for especially the smaller studios, those mid-level size studios that can afford to be there and can get their wares in front of a larger audience, and maybe they couldn't even if they were just trying to push it online. Didn't go viral, nobody sees it. Okay. And just in general, it feels like it's healthy for the industry when they have these type of events. The moment people start going to their own corners and controlling the message so much more, it becomes a lot more difficult to know what is and is not factual coming out of the events. If it's Xbox event, then Microsoft will go ahead and invite those that are friendly to Microsoft as opposed to the press in general.
What? No.
I mean, this is a bigger problem worldwide with a lot of different things. That's
echo chamber. Is that what you're saying?
So I'm actually going to officially, I'm going to cancel my previous statement, and I'm going to back Pat on this. His argument was far more intelligent, and I believe in Pat.
You're gonna regret it.
I would say it's very what is Yeah, it's very indicative of whatever the purpose
Capitulation
is.
Ken strikes again.
Of the events. Like there are some that you want to get in front of the audience, and in those cases I think having a live like in-person event is very beneficial. I can speak from experience having gone to PAX. It's way more, it's in a convention, but it's way more of a, hey, here's a bunch of developers, and a lot of the indie developers or smaller studios that are mom and pops or just like they're getting their start. It's a really good chance to connect with your audience and get real feedback and get real connections and understand what's working and what's not working. Whereas, Pat, what you're saying of like, if you try to do that at Xbox or at even the Game Awards, you have, here's a dollar figure and I don't know where it's going. What am I right before the commercial? Am I during a commercial? Who knows what my audience is? Now, when you have a showcase like this and you handle it well and you know what you're doing, I think this is a prime example of them knowing what to handle. Of you have one or two big, like Ninja Gaiden and Doom are known entities. The teams, id Software and Team Ninja, have a history, but South of Midnight Expedition are fairly new entries, and it was the way they blended. Here's a chance to get to know the team and get to know the developers behind this game. So often we lose sight of those developers when we do these showcases, and it's just a commercial. I think that was a good handling of how they handled what they wanted to do here. So I think it very much is like, what are you trying to do? What is the goal of this presentation or showcase? You'll have an E3 where it is not, maybe there is a public facing element, but so much of what developers get out of it in a showcase like that one is getting a chance to meet with publishers and get funding and get resources. And so that's its own, focus and effort and that it had. So each one of these, I think the important part of it is like, what is the purpose of this, whatever we're doing, and very clearly and very aptly like trying to achieve that purpose and staying on target, because not knowing what that your identity is in terms of whatever your showcase. Capcom just did theirs, for instance, today that we're recording, and it was, I thought, one of the worst.
Damn.
Ones, because it was very much like we already knew all these entities. They weren't bringing any new information in, and they just started reading off like, and with this pre-order you can get this, and with that pre-order I'm like, I don't know why we tuned in for this. What was the need for driving this? You weren't even showcasing anyone in your team, you weren't highlighting anything new in the game, and it just felt like they didn't have a clear, they were just like, we need to do one for the sake of doing one. And that I think is a waste of people's time. The last thing I'll say too is, a lot of times games, the studios that make these that make and go to these presentations or do these things have to prepare a separate effort to do that for an E3 or 4 thing. They have to be like, okay, we need to do a slice demo of our game. That's going to take people away from our main thing. So it's like, how does that manage? What are the demands and stuff? So it's just something to know. Like, I think it's important to know what that context is, and that's the end of my little rant.
I would say, I think you hit the nail on the head, especially with like what you're talking about with the Capcom showcase. Like if you're just doing it because you have to do one because everybody else does, and that's just with everything. That's a bad booth at a conference, basically. Like you're here because you have to be here. You didn't put any thought behind it. I do want to say, like with E3, I think part of the appeal of it was the general audience feeling like they are in on the behind the scenes. You're going to the event that is the event where all of these things are interconnecting, and you feel a little more a part of it. Like, oh, I'm in the back room there, seeing how that works and happens. So.
I would say PAX is the closest thing that still kind of captures a bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of my favorite conventions to go to, bar none, and it's so engaging. You get to see kind of a little bit behind that curtain. You get to see, even from bigger studios too, they have Nintendo there, they have Capcom there, but you also see things that you've never thought you'd hear or see, and then you're like, oh wow, I didn't know this is what went into that development and that journey and everything. So yeah.
I was gonna say, as an introvert, I prefer these videos more, but as a capitalist, I see why can't we do both. I feel like the events are there because they also help the local economy. Like you're going to get people rushing into this area to give money. You're getting people to save up for these. You're giving jobs, or at least for the event itself. If it's only 3 days or something like that, they're hiring contractors to build stages, to staff areas, to rent rooms. I mean, it's just, I think it's good in general to get people in person to kind of get together and do stuff like that. Because again, if we were in college or just in high school, they could hire you for a few days, give you a check to do something that you enjoy doing anyway, as far as gaming and being part of the gaming community. That might get you an internship doing something else because you're doing this in person. We start counting pennies and dollars when we start saying like, all right, well, we can do this showcase on our own with less people, and we can even save more money by doing AI CG, CG intros, and start cutting corners on the employees. We don't need that many developers to employ to play the games, the demos. We can pre-render those beforehand. How do we keep saving money if we keep cutting out corners and just making this an all digital kind of thing that we control? So I would like to see both. I'd like to see have E3 and then have this be a supplemental thing that people can go in, to Kurosh's point, and you highlight your developers. You showcase the guys who sat down and drew all of these cells, the people that made all the decisions as far as explain the decisions you're making, because you're not going to get everyone in person to hear that. So if Kurosh went in person, he can then come home or go back to his office or whatever, and then watch this as well and report on that if he's a reporter, or talk to his friends about it and share these clips online as well. I think you should have both. I think that'd be a good mix, but I think because of COVID, everyone kind of shifted towards this, and then all the studios were like, well, we could save money. And then they completely got rid of the other thing. And I was like, no, that's not the lesson we should have learned. But that's my rant.
It's interesting because there's parallels that I'm seeing being drawn to like specifically kind of showcase events. And I'm thinking of other media points that they've tried to do something similar and failed. I'm thinking of the DC Fandom, where they're like, oh, hey, here are movies and some comic stuff. And it just felt empty, and it didn't feel at all engaging. And they tried to make it a show out of it. They tried to be like, yeah, here's the stars. So it's like, to your point of like, let's save money. I'm like, well, they're still paying The Rock to tell you how they're going to change the hierarchy of the which is random that this came up twice in the podcast. But
I think you got a grudge. You got a beef.
I'm just saying, like, Hobbs versus
Ken versus The Rock, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
WrestleMania is right around the corner.
Hey, man, get your ass to Vegas. Be ready.
Go.
All right, let's jump into our next topic. Unless you want to, you can put a button on this, Ken.
Yeah. And so, I was gonna say, there's also they also did the same thing with Hasbro. They've done their Pulse events where they've done a lot of like, we got the Black Eyed Peas to do a music set in the middle of one of our toy commercial like things, because like everyone's at home now, so we'll do it like that. And they've since, now that things have changed, gone back, they're like, we're just gonna pull this back again and see, like, we didn't really need to have these people in here to introduce things, but it's like people are already here for whatever reason they're here. You don't need to sell them on the event. But maybe that's something they just learned after a couple tries. But speaking of which, by the way, I'm upset that the Capcom showcase didn't bring me any new toys for Marvel vs. Capcom, because I would have been here to buy those. I am happy that the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting collections are going to finally come to Xbox. So
yeah, I'm glad about that too.
That is the reason why I wanted the Switch. I'm like, I got to get the Switch for this specific thing. It took me forever.
It's on Xbox though, so why? So
it wasn't mentioned at the time.
Why'd you get the old one? Why'd you get the old Switch? Why didn't you just wait for the new one? It seems like a.
I hate you, Kenny.
Moving on.
There's a new
Switch too.
No, sounds like you got taken for a ride.
I want to take you for a ride. I want to take you for a ride.
She never said where we were going.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Your ride is going to be the ass beating.
Yeah, I was going to say this feels like one of those situations with that song, that Baby It's Cold Outside. It's going to get very rapey very soon.
That took a turn.
Yeah,
that took a good turn.
Next topic.
Switch 2.
Switching it up.
Speaking of raping your wallet.
There you go. I don't know. I feel like Nintendo's got this in the bag. They're probably going to charge roughly the same amount that they did for the OLED one, because they know that this is working. But what are you guys' general thoughts of, like, Nintendo was like, hey, if you guys won't shut up about it, here it is. That's it. Fuck off.
Yes, CES I think was what pushed the envelope there.
I think
because
you're
so
right.
many third-party suppliers were showcasing, like, this is the case on this demo model that we've shaped, that let's say it's acting like the unit in some general ways. And people were like, this is it. And then I think
no, it's
were
not.
like,
We
okay,
didn't say anything.
calm down. And they did that little video that they had.
See, I was going in a different direction. I was saying because of all of the handhelds that were showcased at CES, they were like, hey, assholes, we originated this shit. Come get ours. Don't go buy these other ones coming out in May. Just wait a second. Here's the damn thing you wanted. Here's the Switch 2. Don't go buy the other ones.
Hey, Mario Kart 8 Super Deluxe coming at you right now. No, we're not making a part 9. Shut up. 8 Super 8 Deluxe.
Because it was what 30-second trailer and that was it. And it wasn't even about like games or anything. It was just, hey, this is what it looks like. Shut up.
I would equate it to, you know how like with movie trailers, there's the trailer, but I feel like this was like a teaser. Honestly, it was like here's some base specs and a general idea that your purchases, you know, Kareem, rest assured, your purchases on the Switch will carry over. And that was one of the points that they made. But outside of that, and a little tease of a Mario Kart of sorts, it seemed like that's what they were teasing. I mean, there's a lot to get into. The general thing is, I will preface, I'm very excited. I'm very much looking forward to it. I was a big fan of the
Like there's a
Switch.
butt coming along.
Nintendo has a reputation in my eyes, and like every one of these like Xbox has their personality and their own, you know, rhyme and reasons. PlayStation has their thing. PC's got their thing, but Nintendo's always been we're a little weird. We'll do something cool, but it's going to come with a little bit of weirdness, and it's just part of us.
Yeah,
I didn't feel the weirdness here. It just felt like, hey, that thing that everyone loved, hey, we're doing more of it, which I'm on board for, but nothing like this felt very safe. And I mean that in the best way, because I feel like that's what they need to do, built off of that success. And if you look like going back and looking at like, hey, we had the Wii, let's build off that. And they went a little weird and they made the Wii U, which was not very successful at all.
So what you're saying is you want Labo 2. You want cardboard to wrap around your game system so that you can then do something else.
Why would you say something that stupid? Why would you ask something that dumb?
I think he wants them to bring back the Wii U. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Virtual Boy time, folks.
Virtual Boy, baby.
I want Street Pass. Like, I want that level of weird. If you guys remember Street Pass, it was like the 3DS feature that you, as your console, you know, was nearby in proximity to another 3DS, they would have a little tag share, and then you would be like, I met someone from this region, and their me would be, you know, like that level of weird was like a weird that made sense, and there was a social connection that built around it of like, I'm going to conventions
we
and
don't
I'm
know
doing
if this thing doesn't have, if it has NFC or not.
True,
we
but I
be
just meant
tapping
like
controllers left and right.
Everything they showed here very much played like it's what you know, but just more potentially. And even that, I don't know if it is.
So
like,
more amiibos is what you're saying. You still want more amiibos?
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, they're fun.
Toys to Life had its run, but let's go.
Hey, it's Nintendo. They started with like the toys and stuff. So again, just there's an element of weird that I always love about Nintendo, good or bad.
Yeah,
And I just
you're not
felt
king shaming. You're fine. I get it.
Yeah, and Nintendo do your thing, but that was the most immediate thing that I saw. I'm like, they're here to win and to be successful. I just don't know what that means as a business. Like, okay, this is the new MO. What are we gaining and what are we losing? Are they going to be very similar to the others now that? And Kareem, this kind of goes maybe a little bit to your point, and I'm kind of going off for a sec, but forgive me. They kind of started the whole handheld joint, like it's handheld, but it's also a console. Everyone else is doing that now too, and some of them doing it better, some of them doing worse. But now, like that becomes normal. Then where does Nintendo find its identity besides its IP?
Well, I mean,
like
I was saying in terms of handheld, this was the thing we had off air is that Kareem is saying that consoles are going away, and everything will just be cloud gaming on your phone, and that's your handheld. So is this a step in that direction that he's saying that like, no, there won't be a Microsoft Xbox after this generation or maybe the next one. And then we're just moving forward into a consoleless hellscape of everyone cloud gaming.
I don't think we're that direction. I think that consoles are still very much a thing. It's just that and this is the split in like what the market might read, but people love their high fidelity, big, you know, rigs at home with their OLED TVs that they've invested in, much like they do for TV and Super Bowls and all the stuff they want to watch. But at the same time, much of the gaming community is portable, and mobile isn't quite there, and maybe it's like a flexibility of that, but just being able to take my Steam Deck just on the go, or my Switch, or whatever that may be, like packing that in, I think there is an ecosystem to be enjoyed there. I don't think phones have made it satisfying yet. Like they're doing better maybe, but there's still very much like, I want to have my console and I want to be able to connect it to your TV or my TV or wherever I'm at.
My contention was not necessarily mobile, but the fact that accessibility for these consoles is going to change. So the idea of a dedicated gaming room with a tower / console that costs, $500 to $700 every 5 to 7 years is going to go to the way or give way to the Switch, which is, a console itself that you can basically pick up.
That's not what you said.
That is what I said.
You said cloud gaming. We're all doing it on our phones.
I said Xbox is not going to make another console like an Xbox. They're going to make one more.
Another point.
They're going to make one more Xbox box thing, and I think after that they're just going to go to the console that you could do with the Switch, which is a mobile console. Like you can pick it up, unplug it, or you can plug it into a TV, like he's saying, and play it on a big screen, or you can put it in your bag and walk away with it. But a lot of the power, which is how Nintendo's getting away with this, is going to be cloud rendered. Like you're not going to need heavy GPUs. You're not going to need a ventilated cooling system for a tower or anything like that. You're going to be able to take, I don't know, what is it? You have the Steam Deck, right? Steam Deck's pretty powerful as is. And any other power you need for that is going to be done cloud side.
I don't know if it's cloud necessarily. I think the technology that's going to be the biggest push is the DLSS features of kind of that AI kind of bridging the gap of fidelity. I think that because of the cloud thing, you're dealing with reception, you're dealing with Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I tried. There was some games that they were like,
you don't blame the game. You don't blame your internet. That's on the game. That was our contention of saying like, and my point was like, if I have a bad connection,
I say you blame the internet.
And
you
I say
you blame the game.
I say like that doesn't matter. If I can choose to have the gaming fidelity all within one console, I will do that. I don't want to worry about the internet. That was my point.
But my point is that most games, 90% of games, you have an online factor to it anyway. So when you can't play that game, you don't blame the developer. You don't say, "Oh, your shit game sucks." You say, "Oh, my bandwidth sucks right now. I can't play the rest of this game. I can't get out of the game what I need to. I can't play with my friends online and stuff." So that's what I meant about the cloud. You said that you would blame the game, and I'm saying you blame the bandwidth.
I blame the Xbox. I will say Xbox is not working because Xbox is too slow. I can't alter
the Xbox is the one.
Yeah.
If you don't have internet, how are you blaming the Xbox?
Because in this case, I can play games that sit on my console. I can play Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, just me, couch co-op, and the missus with me. We're playing that game co-op together, and it plays perfectly fine. No internet. I can play Unicorn Overlord the same way. There's games that can be played without an internet connection. Yes, there's updates. We've discussed this before, but there are like when I have issues with the internet, like when I'm playing Division 2, like that's acknowledged. I'm like, yep, yeah, that's this game's laggy. Like, and also I understand that other people's systems who are connecting to it, it's multi-tiered. But when if I want a solo gaming experience, I don't want to worry about. I can't. It's really laggy, and it's because my phone isn't loading stuff fast enough from the cloud.
Sure. For instance, like the need for a cloud connection, like I'll give an example. Prince of Persia Lost Crown is a perfectly like local single player game you can play on like your Steam Deck or your Switch or whatever. But when they were first launching it, it was like, oh, we're trying to connect to the Ubisoft Connect platform to make sure you have the cloud save. And if for any reason that disconnects or you don't have that, you're on this, it didn't prevent me from playing that game. I think if it ever got to the point where, and games have done this, where it prevents you from playing the game if it can't do its connection thing online, that without any need, that is a way of like, this is gonna fail. We're gonna go off the edge.
Do you hear that? Do you hear that? That's EA's music. It's EA's music. My God.